Cleveland Browns, Los Angeles Rams, Sunday, 4:25 Eastern. Make no mistake about it. This is a big one. A lot of plot twists. We're going to break down the rest of it here. You pregame, Locked On Browns.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your host, Jeff Lloyd. I appreciate all of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. And if you ain't part of the everyday crowd by now, well, Jack, you got to get that changed and subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. And of course, Locked On Browns is always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So we have our finalization. And, look, the content came a little bit later this week. I do apologize. Out of my hands. And Browns went West Coast. We're all East Coast or Central. Made it a little difficult here. But the 4 players, obviously, for the Cleveland Browns left the game last week in Denver. As we know, Dorian Thompson-Robinson obviously suffered a concussion. That has not come out of the protocol to this point. Dorian Thompson-Robinson will be out, obviously, on Sunday. Joe Flacco will make his Cleveland Browns debut at age 38 on Sunday. Myles Garrett, Amari Cooper, Jordan Elliott, the other 3 players, 2 obviously left the game on Sunday. 1 certainly banged up in Myles Garrett. All 3 players will go on Sunday. None of the 3 players carry any injury designation whatsoever. Anthony Walker did not play last week in Denver, was a little bit ill yesterday. Anthony Walker practiced today in full. A-Walk will return to action Sunday against the Los Angeles Rams. Only player carrying any injury designation whatsoever, fullback / center, Nick Harris. Nick Harris right now listed as questionable. Certainly a big key to what the Browns have been doing with the run game as of late. Certainly would be a big key on Sunday. As you guys know, the Browns do not carry a fullback on their roster. Nick Harris has been serving that role. If the Browns want to run the ball, I think they're going to need to put a little more emphasis on the run this week. Certainly, having Nick Harris available to go on Sunday would be paramount. We'll see the way that one comes out. And obviously we'll get that news somewhere around, 2:30, 2:45 on Sunday, 90 minutes before kickoff is when we will get the final dress roster for Sunday. Denzel Ward will not return this week, has not practiced yet. Marquise Goodwin still in the concussion protocol. He will obviously not return this week as well. Offensively, we talked a little bit, and I spent yesterday. Look, I don't think we should be that surprised that Joe Flacco should be able to come out and run an NFL offense. He has a solid offensive line. Gerard Christian will make his 4th straight start for the Cleveland Browns at left tackle. Of course, the rest of the line intact. This Rams front, look, Aaron Donald is still a beast, one of the greatest interior defensive players that have ever played in this league. Overall, though, it's a good group. It's not a great group. It's some, players playing above their heads, some players who are young, probably developing into good players. The Browns just got to go out there and seize this, man. Look, you don't want to get caught and dig yourself into a hole going back home to face Jacksonville at 7-5. Get this win, get your team to 8-4, and then all of a sudden it's a lot easier to function. Once the pressure starts to rise, that's when everybody gets a little more tight. It's for all intents and purposes, everybody looks like they are in the groove. It really looks that way. You'll have Amari Cooper. Again, he is no injury designation for Sunday. So Amari Cooper, good to go, along with Myles Garrett. Everybody, all the boys are back. So with that, Amari Cooper. And look, Amari being out there doesn't have to be 100%. Doesn't have to go out there and give you an 8 for a 120-yard day. You've got David Njoku. If you guys did not see the videos that the Browns put out about how serious David's injuries were, 17% of his body. David's a big man. 17% of 6'5", 260 pounds is a lot of area. David Njoku, an absolute freak of nature. How in the world this guy went from that Friday night to playing in a 1:00 game on Sunday? It absolutely stuns me. It amazes me. Absolutely. And I've told you guys before, I've survived. I've gone through a burn from a fire pit. It is nothing compared to what David Njoku went through. And the fact that David Njoku, 36 hours, whatever, later was able to play in a football game, absolute bananas to even believe that. But look, the thing for the Browns is this could be the unknown. You know what I'm saying? We all assume Mari's going to be a good player every week and give you good production. You know, David, who knows? You know, Cedric Tillman, this could be the best game of his career, coming off the best game of his career. Elijah Moore does have a little bit of, obviously has some history with Joe Flacco. I want to see the ball run more. And look, it's not because you don't trust Joe. It's just you can't. What are your true expectations for a guy that's only been with you for 2 weeks? So you've got to get the run game going. It's got to be an emphasis. It's Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, Pierre Strong. Obviously, I don't know where he's going to lie within Brown's pecking order right now. Obviously, a crucial and devastating fumble last week. Again, play call is questionable, no doubt about it. But the execution doesn't matter what the coach calls. The play's got to be executed, and that's a fault of the players, obviously. So for the Browns, you got to protect Joe. And I'm assuming the Browns are not going to come out in a lot of situations, where it's going to be, 11 personnel or, 10 personnel. I think the Browns are going to be conscious. I wouldn't be surprised if James Hudson plays a pretty big role this week as far as, a blocking tight end, but also used to play a surrogate sixth offensive lineman. It may be hard for Joe for blitz pickup. That's always the most difficult thing when a player gets into a new offense, a new system. It's, identifying the blitz quickly. Look, it's going to be coming. And look, Joe's a veteran, obviously, and Joe's been in this league for a long, long time. But when it's the first time out there, essentially everybody's a rookie. And, so to see everything when it's moving around a million miles an hour, it's one thing to look at still shots. It's one thing to look at video. It's a whole other thing to be out there behind center and have all of this going on in your first live reps with a new team. But I think Joe Flacco is capable. I don't think the Browns are going to be stupid enough. They're going to put this entire game on the shoulders of Joe Flacco. Realistic expectations, I think Joe could probably throw somewhere in the nature of 150 to 200 yards. The Browns, they can run the ball for 150 or more. It should be serviceable to get them where they want to be and getting a win in Los Angeles. So that is kind of what the thought process and the expectations are. Again, I think Tillman, I think Elijah Moore are probably some guys you're going to look in on here with the possibility of being able to get some things done here. Joe doesn't come in here with a reputation with everybody. So open guy, Joe Flacco, find the open guy, run the ball, protect your new quarterback for now, because we've had 4 of them. And I think the Browns offensively should be able to do enough to hopefully get themselves to a victory Sunday in Los Angeles. We're going to keep it going here, only doing 2 segments. Just want to do something quick here to get the final notes in for you guys here. So appreciate everybody for being along for the ride. Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns. And now a word. Stay warm as weather gets colder. The NFL offers, they stay hot over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and plenty more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. I've talked plenty of times before about it. Me, my wife, my kids, we like to go to music concerts. We like to go to shows. They go to a lot more than I do. Problem is we got to buy last minute between 2 teenager schedules. Me and my wife, busy schedules. We don't know when we're available. So you shouldn't have to worry about when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. They are killer last minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the best price guarantee. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Look, when you have going to a venue you've never been to before, to have a picture, to know exactly what your sight line is, you get that from Gametime. Again, the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection. Heck, they have job loss protection as well. All-in prices show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal without any hidden fees. You buy tickets in seconds, 2 taps, you are good to go. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. And a Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Jeff Lloyd closing out here. Latest Locked On Browns. Just want to get you a little something extra here as we got the finalizations. Garrett's in, Cooper's in, Jordan Elliott's in. As we know, DTR out. And your starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, Week 13 of the 2023 NFL season, Joe Flacco. Want to talk a little bit here, but first, I appreciate everybody who makes Locked On Browns your first listen. The everyday crowd keeps getting bigger and bigger. Look, you ain't got to pay. You don't need no money. You want in the club, you can get in the club. The best way to do that is by subscribing to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Of course, Locked On Browns always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, defensively, Myles Garrett. And look, the degree to where Myles is injured, hampered, I don't think any of us truly know. But doing push-ups yesterday, on the practice field today, smiling, doing his thing. Could there be a harness worn Sunday? Certainly. Is he going to be wearing that, tape that he's been wearing? Absolutely. But it appears that Myles Garrett should be as good of a version as any player in Week 13 of the NFL season can be. Again, as I said to you yesterday, he doesn't maybe necessarily have to be. Jim Schwartz, really, really smart guy, right? You use that great player. You use him like the queen in chess. He can do it all from the outside, the inside. There are a million things the Cleveland Browns can do. You have to pressure Matthew Stafford. With these receivers and with Kupp and with Nakua and with Tutu Atwell, you give time to the quarterback. Nakua and Kupp are accomplished, and I mean surgical route runners. If they are given enough time, they will get open. Tutu Atwell got long speed, certainly can be a difference maker. You have to. And this Rams offensive line, I'm going to tell you right now, there's maybe about one guy that you probably all know in Rob Havenstein. The rest of it, you'd all be sitting there going, never heard of them. Don't know who they are. Get the job done. You've got to get after Matthew Stafford. The mobility is not there like Russell Wilson was last week. And let's make no mistake about it. Russell Wilson's arm did not win that game last week. The Denver run game won it, and Russell Wilson with a couple timely runs won it. It was not Russell Wilson's throwing arm. Matthew Stafford, you're not going to get any of that mobility. It could be the throwing arm. Higbee had his best game of the season, 2 touchdowns last week for the Los Angeles Rams. Certainly Denzel Ward being out is brutal. This is a great, great matchup that you would have loved to have Denzel Ward for. The key is you assume Kupp, you assume Nakua, and look, for Martin Emerson, and I love Martin Emerson, I think he's absolutely flourishing into a top-flight starting cornerback in this league. This is not the best of matchups for him. And if he's smart, and if he can play cleanly physical within that 5 yards, that's the game plan for Martin Emerson. Cooper Kupp, beat up on him. Puka Nakua, beat up on him. Because if he can beat up on him within that 5-yard range, it's only going to allow the boys more time to unleash the beast and get into the backfield. Kieran Williams, interesting running back. Does a lot as a receiver. Had a really, really nice run up to this point as a runner coming back last week. Big game. But this offensive line versus the Browns defensive line, in my opinion, is not really much of a matchup. It's not. The Browns defensive line is significantly better than the Los Angeles Rams offensive line all across the board. Browns are going to go 4 deep at edge. Browns are going to go 4 deep at defensive tackle. You're getting Anthony Walker back. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is playing the best football of his NFL career right now. Sione Takitaki, sometimes there's a little noticeable lapse in, the ACL, which is expected, of course, first year back. But these guys can go. So the secondary is going to be critical. Juan Thornhill back in business. So Juan Thornhill, Grant Delpit. Look, it's going to be a big, big matchup for this team this week. But you got to get this W. You've been there all week, so we're not going to have the excuse of travel like we did last week in Denver. We're not using the excuse of a 60-minute ball game like we did in Denver, like we had for this game in Denver. Was sadly over with probably about 6-7 minutes to go. So this team should be ready to go. And as the amount of adversity seems to pile up for this team, they seem to respond each and every week and be ready to go. You love to see it. I don't think the moment gets too big. I don't think the pressure gets too high. This team looks at the task in front of them, looks everybody in the eye, says, I got you, you got me. Let's go do it. And let's go do what we do. And I think that is going to be the case. You want a prediction for Sunday? I will give you a prediction for Sunday. I think you see the Cleveland Browns win this game 23-13. I think the defense is going to come off of a bad week versus Denver and go out there and flex their dominance. I think the run game is going to do what we expect the run game to do. I think the offensive line is going to continue. And we talked about this. The offensive line, one thing that can start trending upwards, you everydayers know it. One thing that can start trending upwards here as the season went on was the offensive line. And it really looks like that is starting to be the case for this team. Browns 23-13 over LA, go to 8-4. Come on home for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I am Jeff Lloyd, your host here at Locked On Browns. Appreciate every one of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. The everyday crowd, the party keeps getting bigger. You want in. You don't need to be in. You want to be in. Just get in. Subscribe to Locked On Browns podcast, YouTube channel. Of course, the show is always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. This has been your daily delivery of all things dog pound. LGB on ELOB. Let's go Browns.